So I wrestled with making this video. I wondered how to, you know, talk about it and how to phrase it, but I am tired of wrestling it because I believe that we have a duty to ourselves when we create, you know, content. So even if you're any kind of creator, whether music, graphics, things like that, as long as people are consuming it, you have the right to positively impact or the message you send. And even if you do something and you're not sure, there's a ripple effect to it. And I bring this up because I watched a movie over the weekend. I'm not going to say the title and I'm not going to say on whose channel because I do not want to indirectly send traffic to that particular movie because everything else that I've seen from that channel I have loved and I have agreed with the message. And this particular message rubbed me off the wrong way. And it had to do with whether when you're inebriated, you can actually give consent to have sex. And in the US, that's no. You cannot give consent if you're inebriated. That means if you're drunk. And this movie, the storyline was this lady was married with the child and then got reconnected to her ex, who she hadn't seen in 5 years. Granted, she went to meet him. She hadn't actually also drank in a really long time. So she drank and her body did not process the alcohol well. The way I understood the movie was that she drank and was very tipsy. So her reactions and her actions were very slurred. She went back to the hotel with the guy, which, yes, granted, she shouldn't have. But we have come into the time where we agree that even if you follow a man, or even if as a man you follow a woman to the hotel, there's still that last consent at the end. It doesn't mean that it has to end with sex. In this case, she followed the guy, and in the story, you could actually see her struggling, saying, "No, I want to leave. No, I want to leave." And the guy cajoling her, saying, "No, stay, And they enter the hotel room. And then when they get to the bed, what I saw was that she passed out. And then the guy was fully conscious. There was no part of his acting, and this is the character now, not the actor. There was no part of the acting that indicated that he was also inebriated. Because if it was two people inebriated, that's a completely different story. But in this case, one person was definitely handling the alcohol very well, and another person from the story seemed passed out. And then the guy made his move. Going forward with the story, she felt so guilty and ashamed when she woke up in the morning and she left. Eventually, pregnancy materialized from that act. She had the baby, even though she was on constant fear that, her husband would find out, what would society think, what would the church think, things like that, which eventually did happen. And even how it happened was just weird. But I'm not going to go into that. What pained me about the story was that, in my perspective, that was not a consensual sex or lovemaking or whatever. It wasn't consensual at all. She wasn't in the right frame of mind to give consent. But that was not it. Every other part where that thing was talked about, it was that she the character, first of all, the lady, talked about it as if she was, tempted and everything. But the what's it called? The scene did not depict that. That was one. Two, this also led to her losing her marriage. And then everything else just went, But no one talked about the fact that, in my opinion, it was victim shaming. But then making the victim take all the burden and all the consequences. Granted, the person that she had an affair who was also married, I don't even know what I'm saying, having an affair, the person that took advantage of her who was also married, lost his marriage. But in the whole movie, it didn't even seem like he cared about the marriage. It didn't even seem like he valued it. So in this case, someone's action where they decided to reconnect with an ex and jeopardized their decision making by taking alcohol. You now took advantage of that and, in my opinion, raped the person because, like I said, you do not give consent when you're inebriated, except when two people in doing the act are both inebriated, then that's different. It's like Ojoro cancel Ojoro, but in this case, one person was properly sane and the other person was not. You do not give consent in that consent is no, it's worky. So what happened was that someone was taken advantage of, someone was raped, and then it was coined into something else, and it became that she lost her home, she lost her family, and it was being now trying to, I think they're trying to force feed of the fact that, oh, she was being tempted. No, there might be a layer of temptation from the fact that she went in the beginning, but everything else that happened from that whole being taken advantage of down to no, that was just, and I was, no, I don't have the words for how bad and terrible I felt, because this is the mindset that we are trying to correct. And this is someone who I hold in high esteem for the content that she creates, for the movies that she makes, and she has a high followership, and I know people watch a lot of these movies. So while we're trying to curtail this, it's painful to see that these movies are being made to further buttress this negative actions or this myopic backset ideas. Let me know what your thoughts are. And yeah, I know that we're not perfect, and I'm hoping that this video gets to resume the conversation, because I know the conversation already started, but gets to resume this conversation on how media affects and corroborates ideas. Let's just be aware of the responsibility that we have as we create, as we are creators, and as we pass our products to other people to consume. Let's be mindful, and I know we are, and let's just make a more conscious effort. That's what I would like to say. But yeah, no, this movie just took me back to an idea that we should be deading. We should just kill. It shouldn't exist. And that's my musing for the day. Okay, well, let me know if you agree. If you don't, I'm also open to dialoguing and hearing your thoughts. Ciao.